Morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday. I hope you've had a good weekend. My weekend was chaotic, as it quite often is. I'm writing my book at the moment as well. I'll say a bit more about that closer to time. Should be available for pre-order in March. A quick update on a few important things. And the first one is Plymouth and we were to hold our first public meeting. We're doing hopefully, or we're going to try to, or do our best to hold public meetings all over the country. And Plymouth was to be our first. And it was set up and organised by the person who had set up the first ForBritain branch, which was for Plymouth. Now, I'm not entirely 100% clear on everything that went on down in Plymouth. The person who set up the For Plymouth branch and who organised the meeting has now left the party, sadly. And I think it comes as a bit of a shock sometimes to people who, when they become involved in politics that is any way negative about Islam or any way negative about immigration, about mass immigration, it comes as a shock when they finally get to see up front quite how nasty the left wing can be, quite how intimidating it can all be. And the sort of representations of yourself, which are completely untrue, can be very difficult to cope with. But it's what we're going to have to cope with. And I know I sort of say repeatedly, at risk of putting people off, how difficult this is. We have, as a party, as a group, we have difficulty getting the basics done. Banks don't want to work with us, lawyers don't want to work with us, web developers. It's a constant battle just to get the basics. And we can see that now with trying to organise these public meetings. What I do know about what happened in Plymouth is that we had a venue booked for the 25th of January. This seemed to be going well. Leaflets were, to my knowledge, distributed in there. I guess a week or so before, I got a message saying the first venue had cancelled, but it was okay. We had a next venue. The day before, we were told that that second venue had cancelled. So what we did, we decided to try to get our message out regardless. And this to me is very important. And this is why the public meetings are so important. I really want us to go into towns and cities and make a specific effort there. Let the people know that we were there. Let the people know that we've taken an interest in their town or their city and we have something to say about it. So I wanted to get this message out somehow. So I went to Plymouth. We made a video in Plymouth around various areas of Plymouth where we talked about various issues, and we'll be putting that, we're editing that at the moment. It'll be ready soon. We got a few newspaper articles in Plymouth, one of them about the fact that venues had cancelled on us. So we are getting attention, and we need attention to the fact that this is happening. And if they're in local papers, local people will read them. And if we do that over and over again, we'll reach more and more local people. So the public meetings are very important, but they're also extremely difficult. And we're going to have to explore, I think, I know, different ways of organising these. So on the second meeting that we are due to have is on the 7th of February in Hartlepool. And once again, we have problems with the venue there. Once again, people are obviously intimidated, too frightened, basically, to host us and to allow us to speak, and we're not actually saying anything that's unlawful. We're not doing anything unlawful. We are simply speaking reasonably about major issues, but the reasonable arguments we're putting are not in line with that of the state and in line with the political establishment. They don't want to rock this boat. But we will continue, and we'll continue to find ways around it. We will reach out to the towns and cities. It's really, really key for us. And we will keep on every occasion highlighting just how difficult it is to do the basics in this country when you are in any way critical of the PC progressive agenda. I will keep you obviously up to date on this as we go along. And I'm writing at the moment, an email to all members to update you on this and various other issues. The second thing I want to update you on this morning is the Electoral Commission. Now, we've had a response from them. I said we were going to get a response on the 25th. So let me read out to you exactly what it says. We were, if you remember the first time, we were rejected by the Electoral Commission because of the name. The name was too similar to a registered slogan for a United Britain, which had been registered by a small party up in Scotland. And it was pretty, they searched pretty far and wide to find that excuse, was my view. But in any case, we reapplied, and we will reapply again if they reject us again, with the ForBritain movement, which is what they told us we could use. So now they've come back a second time, and I'll read it out. It says, the Commission considers all registration applications carefully in line with the Political Parties Elections and Referendums Act 2000 and its duties as a public body. In this case, we are considering if the content of the party's constitution could be directly or indirectly discriminatory, and if so, what action the Commission should take in relation to the application. We will be in further contact with you in due course. Now, I'm going to obviously have to find out specifically what part of the Constitution they deem to be or potentially directly or indirectly discriminatory. I have suspicions it's the implication and the actual stated policy proposal that the British state should put British citizens, the interests of British citizens, above those of citizens of other countries. This essentially means that when there is a conflict of interests between the native British citizens and potential migrants or actual migrants, then the British citizens should be prioritised. I suspect that might be where we are discriminatory, but we will wait and see, and I will comment further on it when we know for sure what their concerns are about our constitution and what we need to do to take this forward now. We intend, of course, to persevere, and we will eventually get registered. Puts us in a difficult spot for May because there is a deadline in early February. I think it's the 2nd of February. It might be the 5th. I think it's the 2nd. A deadline if you want to stand as a party this May. So we will need to wait until that deadline passes, if that deadline passes, before we hear from them again, and then we'll have a better idea of where we are. But I will let you know when I hear from them again, and I'll let you know if and when they tell us their ultimate decision on this occasion, and what exactly they base their objections on. Okay, as I say, I'll be sending out an email today. Well, I'll be writing it today. It may take a couple of days to get to you. Full update on this and many other things that I've seen coming up. But just to know, this is once again a tough battle, and it will take real commitment and perseverance above all else. But they are cowards. The people who do this are cowards, like all bullies. They are cowards. If we stand up to them, we'll defeat them. And we have to take every obstacle, all of these cancelled events and things, and turn them into experience, turn them into publicity, turn them to work in our favour. They are simply obstacles, and I think the more obstacles we have to overcome, the better we get at overcoming them. So we shall persevere. Thank you, by the way, to everyone who has supported us so far. I get the most incredible emails of support, and people have been signing up and joining up over the last few days as well. So planning these events are certainly worth doing. We'll get through to many places, and when we don't, we'll get newspaper coverage, and people will get to see exactly the bullying and the intimidation that people are facing in this country simply for using their democratic rights. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow at 11. I want to say a couple of things about halal tomorrow and a rather shameful backpedaling from the Lancashire County Council that I read about last week. So take care. I'll see you tomorrow at 11.
We will make America great again.